am presenting Union Gospel Press's Sunday School Lesson number 9, Sunday, July 31st, 2022. The lesson is entitled, Jesus Heals a Centurion's Servant. Lesson text comes from Luke chapter 7, verses 1 through 10. Related scriptures are Matthew 8, 5 through 13, Acts 10, 23 through 29, and 34 through 35. Mark 7, 24 through 30, Luke 17, 11 through 19. The place is Capernaum. The time is 28 AD. The subject of healing faith has been much abused by some people. They claim that if a person has enough faith, he or she will always be healed. We question the theology of such a proclamation. At the same time, we do not doubt that the Lord can heal a person. His healing, however, is according to his plan and timing, not ours. Today's Bible study reminds us of the importance of faith when praying for healing and helps us have a clearer concept of how to pray for sick people. Today's aim, facts. To understand that the Lord is able to heal people when he chooses to do so. Principle, to recognize the importance of faith and God's will when praying for healing. Application, to pray for people's physical needs with full confidence that the Lord can heal. Illustrating the lesson, we should pray and have faith in the Lord's ability to heal. Practical points. 1. We are blessed to have people to intercede for us before the Lord. Luke 7, 1 through 3. 2. Kindness, generosity, and respect can overcome nearly any human barriers. Verses 4 through 5. 3. We should always approach Jesus in humility and awe. Verses 6 through 7. 4. Recognizing Jesus' authority is a major part of true biblical faith. Verse 8. 5. Nothing delights our Lord so much as genuine faith in him. Verse 9. 6. Jesus' timing in meeting our needs is always perfect, even if we would prefer a different time frame. Verse 10. Golden text. When Jesus heard these things, he said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Luke 7, 9. Today we have two lesson outlines. The first is evidence of goodness coming from Luke 7, 1 through 5. The second is evidence of faith coming from Luke 7, 6 through 10. Introduction. Most of us have probably heard about the tight wire walker who had a wire stretched across Niagara Falls and was getting ready to make a dangerous trip across. In addressing the gathered crowd, he asked, how many of you believe I can actually walk across this schism on that wire? The majority of the people raised their hands. He then asked, how many of you think I can walk across this chasm on that wire while pushing a wheelbarrow? Not all of them raised their hands this time, but many still did. The tight wire walker had one more question. How many of you so trust that I can do this that you are willing to get into the wheelbarrow and let me push you across this chasm? Only one of the two hands were raised this time. Faith does not wait for visible results. Faith does not look at or get preoccupied by the visible circumstances around us. Faith looks at the one who bids us put our trust in him and is faithful to carry out his promises. Evidence of goodness. Luke 7, 1. And now when he ended all his sayings in the audience of the people, he entered into Capernaum. Verse 2. And a certain centurion servant who was dear unto him was sick and ready to die. Verse 3. And when he heard of Jesus, he sent unto him the elders of the Jews, beseeching him that he would come and heal his servant. Verse 4. And when they came to Jesus, they besought him instantly, saying that he was worthy for whom he should do this. Verse 5. For he loveth our nation, and he have built us a synagogue. Strategic move. Luke 7, 1. We are about to study a great lesson on faith. Dr. Darrell Bach noted, after Jesus' sermon on the plain came several pericopes, section distinction portions with faith and questions about Jesus' identity as the main issues. In the last two of pericopes, the major subjects are women, showing that Jesus' work has no gender gap. And in the first pericope of the section, a Gentile has faith, showing that there is no racial gap either. Jesus comes for all. In both of his books, Luke emphasizes that Gentiles as well as Jews have been included in the family of faith. And it was, in fact, the Gentile Theophilus who was the recipient of these books and to whom Luke wanted to give a clear understanding of this truth. Luke 1:1-4, Acts 1:1. It was Luke who recorded the Song of Simeon, in which he referred to the extensions of salvation to the Gentiles. Luke 2:29-32, and it was Luke who recorded in great detail the conversion of the centurion Cornelius. Acts 10. Jesus had gone to the mountain to pray, Luke 6:12, and on the next day he chose his 12 disciples, verses 13-16. Upon returning down from the mountain, he preached and healed many people, verses 17-19. He presented the Beatitudes and explained what kind of behavior those in the kingdom should exhibit in their lives, verses 20-38. He then spoke two parables to illustrate some truths about the kingdom, verses 39-49. After these, he entered the city of Capernaum and received an unusual request. Capernaum became somewhat of a home base for Jesus and the center from which he expanded his ministry, Luke 4:31. It was located on the northwest shore of the Sea of Galilee and was the largest of the cities surrounding that body of water. There were many business ventures that caused it to be a wealthy place, and it served as the location of a contingent of Roman soldiers. That explains the presence of a Roman centurion. Critical need, Luke 7:2-3. A centurion was in charge of 100 Roman soldiers. This particular centurion exhibited a concern for his servants that many centurions would not have shown. Servants were generally considered expendable and easily replaced. This centurion, however, had a genuine heart of concern for his servant and did not view him as someone who could be easily tossed aside and replaced. Even though servants were deemed unworthy of having any rights, this man respected his. Luke especially recorded that this servant was dear, highly valued to his master, and was sick to the point of death. There is a parallel account in Matthew 8:5-13, where it is recorded that the servant was sick with palsy and terribly tormented by the disease. Matthew said the centurion personally came to Jesus, while Luke said he sent Jewish elders on his behalf. Matthew apparently simplified the story by making his representatives equivalent to the centurion himself. The elders were sent by the centurion as soon as he heard Jesus was in town. The situation is serious, and so the centurion decided to take action. He had heard about Jesus' ministry, including given the nature of the request, miraculous works like those in 4:31-44 and 5:12-26. But as a Gentile, the centurion may have been hesitant about asking a Jewish teacher for aid, so he sent emissaries to make the request for him. Some think these elders were probably civil leaders and opposed to religious ones, partly because of the kinds of things they appreciated about the centurion. The relationship between this Roman military man and the leaders of the Jewish people had helped oversee reveals a unique situation. Instead of the usual animosity, there was a genuine camaraderie and a high degree of respect between them. These elders came to earnestly beseech Jesus to respond to the man's needs. Intercessory requests, Luke 7:4-5. The Jewish leaders wasted no time presenting their request to Jesus. They besought him instantly. The Greek word for besought is paklakinino, meaning to draw near in order to implore. The English word implore signifies begging or pleading earnestly with someone to do something. The elders were urging Jesus to respond to their request, not merely mentioning a need that they were aware of. We are not told how many were in the group, but we can imagine all of them participating. Their high regard for the centurion was displayed in their explanation that this man was worthy of receiving Jesus' help. They explained further that he had shown genuine love for the Jewish nation, especially in having built them a synagogue. This was indeed a centurion unlike most of the others. Jewish elders who normally argued with Jesus showed another side. They had little doubt he could heal. Their question was, would he? They begged him and persuaded him to come. Why should Jesus interrupt his business to take care of theirs, especially when theirs dealt with the Gentile soldier? The elders had the answers. This centurion was different. He cares for the Jews. He used his own resources to build a synagogue for us. An interesting change was subtly taking place in Luke's gospel. Up to this point, Jesus had been portrayed as dealing exclusively with the Jews, but now he is shown beginning to pay attention to Gentiles. Several things stand out in this passage. The main characters in this event are the Gentile centurion, not the Jewish elders, who were not normally supportive of Jesus, and a slave who, in most cases, would have been viewed as nothing but a piece of property. Luke was giving Theophilus a broader perspective. What seems to have been most important to Luke at this point were their attitudes being displayed. A miracle was coming, but it is mentioned only briefly in Luke 7:10. Here we are seeing the attitudes of the centurion toward the Jews, toward Jesus, and later toward his authority. Evidence of faith, verse 6. Then Jesus went with them, and when he was now not far from the house, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him, Lord, trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou should have entered under my roof. Verse 7. Wherefore neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. Verse 8. For I also am a man set under authority, having under me soldiers, and I say unto one, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth. Verse 9. When Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him, and turned about, and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. Verse 10. And they that were sent, returning to the house, found the servant whole that had been sick. Humble recognition. Luke 7:6. Jesus was already near the centurion's home when the Romans sent some friends with another message. Was he having second thoughts about what he had asked for? Was he embarrassed that he had been so presumptuous as to ask Jesus to come to his house? After all, Jews were not allowed to enter the homes of Gentiles. The teaching was that this would defile them. Whatever his reason, the centurion showed genuine respect for Jesus in requesting that he not enter his home. His request also revealed his faith coupled with real humility. Dr. Thomas Constable noted, it seems unusual that the centurion would send for Jesus and then tell him not to come. Apparently, his humility moved him to do so. 3:16. He felt unworthy that Jesus should enter his house. He may also have wished to spare Jesus the embarrassment of entering a Gentile's home, since many Jews would have criticized Jesus for doing so. He even felt unfit, spiritually, morally, religiously, to meet Jesus outside his house. This is quite clear that the centurion knew who Jesus was. He had come to recognize him as the Son of God, whereas most of the Jews had not. For this reason, he expressed the realization that he was not worthy of having Jesus enter his home. We should also recognize that Jesus himself had no qualms about going. While the Jews, and especially their leaders, exhibited racial limits, Jesus had come for all people. Gentiles as well as Jews. Without hesitation, he went. This is a good thing for believers today to notice. Our world is fraught with racial tension, not just in our own nation, but also among nations of the world. Jesus died for all, and heaven will be populated with people of all races. We need to love the way he did by looking past skin color and nationality and instead seeing the souls of people for whom he died. Explanatory comparison, Luke 7:7-8. The centurion explained his request even further by stating that he did not feel worthy of personally entering Jesus' presence. He knew that all Jesus had to do was say the word and his servant would be healed. This was a major statement of faith on his part, showing the depth of his understanding of the person of Jesus. His comprehension of Jesus' authority came from his own experience with human authority. His explanation regarding Jesus' power to merely say the word to heal his servant was that he himself was under the authority of someone else. The implication here is that Jesus held ultimate authority over disease and that diseases were obligated to respond exactly the way he expected and told them to. The centurion was completely convinced that Jesus could do this. He used himself as the illustration of his understanding. He was both under authority and had others under his authority. So he fully comprehended what was expected when a command was given by the one with the authority to give it. When a superior gave a command, whether present or not, it was to be carried out without question. He had the Roman government over him, and he was over a contingent of soldiers, which meant he both received and gave orders. The chain of command was clear in his mind. A private does not ponder the wisdom of the sergeant's orders before carrying them out. A captain does not debate with the colonel the merits of his decisions. Soldiers respond to and obey orders from their commanding officers. Otherwise, the military would collapse in chaos and never be able to defend itself against another army. Any good military person, like this centurion, understands this implicitly. Convicting observation. Luke 7:9-10. Jesus was amazed at this insightful understanding. He marveled. The Greek term used here can carry the nuances of being extraordinarily impressed and feeling great admiration. Had he ever previously heard such total understanding about himself? Had even the disciples comprehended this much? Can you imagine the look on Jesus' face as he turned and addressed the crowd? It was surely a combination of surprise and absolute delight. Finally, someone understood his presence and origin. The Jews were supposedly looking for the coming of their Messiah, but the faith of this Gentile centurion far surpassed theirs. Jesus had arrived and given many evidence of who he was, but many of them, especially their leaders, still had no faith. This Roman understood the truth about Jesus' authority because he saw the big picture that the majority of Jews did not see. They saw Jesus as no more than a human being, missing the reality of his person. The centurion saw him for who he really was. When the friends who had been sent to Jesus returned to the centurion's home, they found the servant healed. Jesus had honored the centurion's faith by immediately restoring the servant's health. It was obvious that Jesus was not impressed that someone was a Jew or held a position of religious leadership or exercised political authority. The only thing that truly mattered to him was simple faith, especially the ability to believe that Jesus is who he says and that God will do what he says. Jesus found that faith in caring throughout Roman soldier. What does he find in us? We have the most faith in people we know best, those with whom we have had much interaction. We learn through those associations that we can trust them in what they do and say. The only way we can develop such And enduring faith in God is through getting to know him intimately, and that comes through being in his word and doing it. Then we will not doubt in the hard times. Questions. 1. In which city was Jesus when he received a special and unusual request for healing? 2. What was unique about the centurion's attitude toward his servant? 3. Who brought the centurion's requests to Jesus? 4. What explanation did the Jewish leaders give for wanting Jesus to respond to the request? 5. What was Luke seeming to emphasize more than the miracle? 6. What message came to Jesus as he was nearing the centurion's home, and who brought it to him? 7. Why did the centurion not feel worthy to have Jesus come to his home? 8. What did the man's description of authority reveal about his understanding of Jesus? 9. What was Jesus' response? 10. What should the centurion's example challenge us to do? This concludes the Sunday School lesson for Sunday, July 31st, 2022. Thank you for listening. God bless.